We remember the Wilderness Battlefield because it is a historical landmark with deep emotional connections. Thousands of Union and Confederate soldiers died in the dense woods of the Wilderness. Fathers, sons, and brothers alike gave their lives for what they perceived was for the good of the nation. Battlefield to preserve the memory of the battle and to teach future generations the significance of the Battle of the Wilderness.
And in the early 1900s, some of the veterans who by this time had gone from being farm boys and so forth to rising up and were now being some of the nation's leaders. They were members of Congress now, governors and things like that. So these people who had fought in the Civil War, this whole generation who had a great interest in the war, now were starting to create these national parks, which they put under the guidance of the War Department at that time. And so you had places like Gettysburg and Chattanooga, Chickamauga being formed into battlefield parks at that time. And since there are 4 major battlefields around here, it was obvious that eventually somebody would say, hey, let's get those battlefields made into parks too. And again, local people by this time wanted this because, again, they saw this as, again, a possible source of revenue. So in the early 1900s, they got together and there was this large movement to create a national park at Fredericksburg. Got all the way to Congress, but then was defeated essentially by the head of the House of Representatives, who was very much afraid that if they created a park here, that there were also several proposals for parks elsewhere, battlefield parks elsewhere, and if they created this one would set a bad precedent and that would blow the budget out of the water. So at that point he turned it down, and so again the effort came to nothing. And it remained that way until the 1920s, when around 1924, they put together a commission to study the battlefields around here and to come up with a proposal for creating a national park. And that proposal was, job was done by a commission of 3 different people. I believe it was a Union veteran, Confederate veteran, and an Army officer. And they basically surveyed the area, came up with their proposal. It went before Congress, and this time in 1927 it passed. And
All right, so the Wilderness Walmart controversy began to spark more of an awareness, of course, of what we have preserved and what we don't have preserved in the wilderness battlefield. Walmart wasn't proposed to be on what we consider to be kind of battlefield land in the sense that no battles were fought there, but its proximity to the battlefield raised a lot of concerns in the preservation community. So that, in the end, of course, was resolved somewhat of a compromise to both sides, the preservation and development kind of side. And that provoked our party, especially along with other community leaders in the area, to go ahead and kind of collaborate on a new idea, which would be called the Wilderness Gateway Study.